The valid methods of narration are very limited. The valid methods of narration, طرق التحمل, known as طرق التحمل, ways of bearing knowledge. When you want to absorb knowledge, bear knowledge, gain knowledge, you sit in front of the scholars. You have either a way of reciting in front of the scholar or hearing from the scholar. The most common way is you hear the scholar reciting. So the scholar would recite, and you're listening to the scholar. So you can say, سمعت, I heard, قال, he said, and so on. This is a sama'. According to the majority of the muhaddith, scholars of hadith, this is the highest level of receiving knowledge. Another method is reciting in front of the scholar. You hold the book, you hold Sahih al-Bukhari, and you recite in front of the scholar, Sahih al-Bukhari. The scholar is silent. He would correct you only when you make mistakes, or jump over a line, or mispronounce a word, or he would make a comment on a word, or something like that. More commonly, the teacher's job is just to sit there and correct the student, and the student's job is to recite. This is called ard. You're exposing the knowledge you have in front of the Shaykh, and the Shaykh would correct you. And surprisingly, there is a very nice example. Imam Malik radiallahu ta'ala an ibn Anas, when he authored the Muwatta, people came from all around the world to study the Muwatta under him, from Andalusia to Khurasan. We have examples of two scholars by the same name and the same father's name. One of them came from Andalusia, one of them came from Khurasan, Yahya ibn Yahya. One is known al-Tamimi al-Khurasani, one is known al-Laythi al-Andalusi al-Masmudi. The same name, the same father's name. One from Khurasan, one from Andalusia. Came to study the Muwatta under him. They have several narrations. However, Imam Malik was very famous around his time. Imam Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi heard the Muwatta from Ziyad ibn Shabtun, and it wasn't enough for him. He came to study the Muwatta under Imam Malik ibn Anas. And when he was studying, at one instance, the scholars were sitting. Imam Malik's method was ard. People would recite in front of him. And he wouldn't like that he recites. He would let one of the people in front of him recite. وَكَانَ يَرَى الْعَرْضَ أَعْلَى مِنَ السَّمَاعِ. His opinion was that the student reciting in front of the Shaykh is stronger than the Shaykh reciting in front of the student. And he was quite fanatic about it. To the extent that one of the students coming to study under him, coming from Khurasan, said to him that I want to return to Khurasan, and the scholars of Khurasan prefer sama' to ard, hearing to reading in front of the Shaykh. So he wants to go back to Khurasan, saying that I studied, I heard the Muwatta from Imam Malik. If people or the ulama of Khurasan tells him, have you heard the Muwatta? He would say, no, I recited the Muwatta. They would tell him, oh, your studies is invalid. You have to have heard the Muwatta from Imam Malik. So coming all the way from Khurasan to Medina, he didn't want to waste his efforts. He asked Imam Malik, please recite for me the Muwatta. Imam Malik said, I don't recite, you recite. And there was a dispute. I came from Khurasan, and the ulama of Khurasan, they don't see the method of the student reciting in front of Shaykh Arad valid. He said, this is the only way I teach. You recite and I correct you. The student went to the judge of Medina, complaining against Imam Malik. The judge of Medina ordered Imam Malik to recite for that student and give him the honor of hearing the Muwatta from him. Back to the story of Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, who came from Andalusia to study under him, just to give you an example of the ulama and what they had in mind. Once, all the students of Imam Malik were sitting around him, and he was teaching. But upon the conquests and the Muslim armies having reached India and Africa, the commanders were sending all of the booties. And amongst the booties, they were sending the most wondrous and marvelous things from each country, so that the people of Al-Madinah would see proofs that Islam reached India, Islam reached North Africa, Islam reached so and so and so. So amongst the things they sent back from India to Al-Madinah Munawwara, there was an elephant. So the elephant was taken on a show. around the streets of Medina so that the elderly women of Medina become happy when seeing that Islam reached India and these elephants are brought now as part of the booties that Muslims are bringing. And also the kids and the children would go around the streets of Medina seeing something beautiful of that kind. So the students of Imam Malik all together went out to see the elephant, except Yahya ibn Yahya, the Andalusian. Imam Malik turned to him and said, don't you want to go out and see the elephant? إنه ليس ببلادكم. It's not in your country. For people in Andalusia, it's more wondrous. So they would be more eager to see the elephant. Yahya ibn Yahya said, I haven't come from Andalusia to see the elephant. I have come all the way from Andalusia to seek your knowledge. قال فسماه الإمام مالك عاقل الأندلس ودعا له. Imam Malik named him the wise man of Andalusia and made a lot of dua for him. Several people of his own progeny became scholars. And the Isnad of the Muwatta goes through him and several of his descendants. At the same time, his version of the Muwatta is the most prevailing version.